Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about a series that is over 15 years old. And that series is Huntik, Secrets and Seekers. Now, I grew up with this show when I was a kid. I used to watch this on Saturday mornings on the CW4 Kids programming, back when Saturday morning cartoons were still a thing. And 9 years after I first saw the show, I was still able to hum the theme song and remember it was a similar concept to Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. That being a series with a card game basis. And it was during my college years that I reacquainted myself with the show and instantly knew I had to review it for you guys. So let's actually start with the show's conception. From what I found when doing research, this show was created by Italian animator and comic book author Eugenio Straffi, and the show's artistic appearance was all done in Italy. So that's why I fell in love with it so much. That makes this feel so unique when compared with other shows I grew up with, like Magi Nation or The Batman. And it's thanks to the special look of these characters that I never forgot about the show. Okay, there was a point when I thought Locke had black hair instead of blonde, but I still remembered the show, and that was mostly thanks to the theme song. I mean, just listen to this.
Never give it up, if you're strong enough, Captain Power.
You're welcome for reintroducing you to that and having that stuck in your head for the rest of the day. But let's get to the meat of this show, the story and the history it creates. Now, some people have and will find issues with the story's in-universe history, like Joan of Arc being a seeker and that's where her visions came from, or how Thor was a mighty seeker who used Fenris as his titan. But I personally didn't feel cheated or offended by the show for doing this. It's clear that this isn't our world, and this expands the world of the show, and I enjoy that about this. We don't see these historic figures, they're just talked about, and it makes the show feel a bit more real. And it is good that we get these history lessons in this fashion, as this was how I got base level information about these historic figures before I learned about them in school. But let's get into the real reason why you guys clicked on this video, the Titans and Amulets. The Titans are great beasts that are hidden within special items called amulets, and bond with special people called Seekers. All these Titans require certain levels of concentration to summon, but with very cool summoning sequences. But yeah, get used to these summoning sequences. They show up every episode with little to no variation, and sometimes we get the exact same full summoning sequences twice in the same episode. While we do get some different summon sequences for a few of the Titans like Caliban or Kipperin, they constantly reuse and replay these sequences, which can get very old very fast, especially for a binge watch like I did. And there's rarely ever any quick summons like there would be in Power Rangers. And it really makes the episodes drag at some points. But each of these guys are really cool, and they come in 9 different flavors: Draco, Litho, Gaia, Meso, Hecto, Swara, Chrono, Yama, and Legendary. Now I have ideas to go more in depth about these guys in another video, but each one has different aspects that make them pretty fun to watch. But there's just one problem. While we're constantly told about attack and defense powers for these guys, we don't really get much of anything about their powers, strengths, or weaknesses during battles. This was the same problem I had during Power Rangers Jungle Fury. There's no clear sign of strengths and weaknesses for the combatants here, unlike there would be in Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Speaking of combatants, let's talk about the characters. Our heroes are part of what's known as the Huntik Foundation, an organization consisting of archaeologists, historians, and librarians. So let's look at the main team we follow, which is also the only team the show follows, which has been dubbed as the Huntik team, consisting of 5 or 6 members. Locke Lambert, played by Yuri Lowenthal. Yep, that Yuri Lowenthal. Is the main character of the show, with his personal mission being to find adventure and discover what happened to his father, Ethan. What I love about the show is that we learn about the world through Locke's eyes, as he has to be taught about the historical figures and the titans of the world. And I do think it's pretty funny that he has to be taught these things because he apparently hates history and learning about myths. Hey, to heck with that, buddy. If I knew that historical and mythological figures were superheroes, I would have passed all my history exams. But it's fun that Locke finds a special kind of joy in puzzle solving. And he's so good, he can apparently solve complex puzzles within a few minutes. And I do like Yuri's voice as Locke. However, if you watch the full series, you may have noticed that Locke's voice went through something between the 2 seasons. And that's because they got a guy named Matt Kaplan. Now, I hate this change because it sounds like a bad imitation of Yuri, young Dante, and like he's a 10-year-old playing a teenager, all in different episodes. It feels like Kaplan forgot which voice he did in the previous session and just tried to recreate it. And overall, it just didn't click with me and was way too distracting on my rewatch. As I personally see Yuri as the voice of Locke, as his voice seemed to match more of the design. Also, I don't like that we get no answer for Locke's true mission, as his quest to find his dad is just unresolved, and we never get any finale that answers every question, which I would have wanted to see. Seriously, what the heck is going on here? That's never explained. Next up we got his love interest, Sophie Casterwell, played by Rebecca Soller. Now, Sophie is very book smart, knowing quite a bit about history, myths, and people in the Huntik Foundation. So much so that at the start of the season, I thought she was going to be part of this heroic foundation, as it seemed like she was already a part of it. But in the second episode, she reveals that she's not even a real seeker. So yeah, her story can be a little inconsistent in the series, especially during the first season. And I personally would have preferred that she was already a member of the Huntik Foundation and a bit of a prodigy. Just never went on any missions yet. Her story is partway there, as she's at the top of her classes and seems to know everything when it comes to history. However, she still has her flaws, which include her inexperience in the field and not knowing her family traditions until season 2, and having a fear of fire due to her house being burned down when she was a kid, which actually doesn't have much build-up. We barely got a mention of it during season 2, as it came out of nowhere, and so the payoff doesn't feel very earned, since the build-up was only for like 2 episodes. And I know I probably shouldn't mention this, but I also had a crush on her when I was a kid. I don't know what it is. Her outfits were very nice. Her movements were very hot for a kid's show. Yeah, there's that. And her voice could get a little, well, astronomer for me.
Hello, boys. Care to go for a lap around the park?
Yeah, like that. I should also mention the relationship between Locke and Sophie. But the show seemed to have dropped that during season 2. In most of season 1, the two acted like friends and even bickering siblings. And while I constantly wanted them to be together, I felt that it was still going to just stay there. just them being friends. However, near the season 1 finale, the two finally share their feelings for each other. And this basically made me sigh in relief and say, yes. We could finally get stories where they were perhaps too concerned about each other during dangerous missions, and their enemies could exploit that and take advantage of it in season 2. Pfft, of course not! The show just takes it back in season 2, and they just go back to them acting like friends. Like them having just shared their feelings about each other didn't happen. So, I guess like in the show, I should just stop it right there and just move on. Let's then move on to talking about the coolest character in the show, Dante Vale. Voiced by Mark Thompson. If that actor's name sounds familiar, here's why.
My turn now. Go! Dice roll!
Yep, he's the voice of Duke Devlin in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. But now on to Dante himself, who had different color hair in the trailer. How random. Anyway, Dante is the best in the Huntik Foundation, being their top agent to send on missions when things get tough. However, his status as the #1 seeker in the Foundation seems a little bit like an ex machina when he's introduced. However, we learn through the show that he's not perfect. He has his weaknesses, he has his fears, he has his flaws. But that ultimately makes him feel more relatable, along with feeling less like the perfect mentor and more like the reliable older brother Locke needs on his journey. I'm not kidding, the way these two work off each other is very fun, and their relationship really grows over the series to the point where they feel like brothers, with Dante always looking out for Locke. Next on the Huntik team is a character I want to talk about before quite possibly the most important character. And that character is Chariot, also voiced by Mark Thompson. Now, this guy is pretty much the Pikachu of the show, being the one Titan that is always out in the open and travels with the team, usually being hidden in Locke's backpack.
Just walk.
I can't. I'm in a bag.
Now, he's a lot of fun with his mysterious past, which he doesn't remember, how convenient, and the additional wisdom he bestows on Locke. But oh my gosh, his voice is so annoying. It's fine if you're watching the show on a weekly or once in a while basis, but it's a lovely, ear-piercing, annoying noise when you do a binge watch like I did. But if you're a fan of the Pikachu trope, you might not be too bothered by him. Just
Perish the thought. Your father was.
be ready to mute your screen when he shows up.
You must never.
And I really feel bad saying that, because Mark is such a good actor. I've seen some of the other shows that he does voice work for, and he's done characters that are in the same tone and voice range as Chariot. So, I don't get why it's so annoying here. And then there's the last member of the Huntik team, Zalia Moon, voiced by Karen Strassman. Now, she's very mysterious in her first episode, and very goth girl in her appearance. She also likes to keep to herself and is always shocked whenever anyone on the Huntik team treats her with kindness. So, basically Dante and Locke. And we discover why, as she's an undercover double agent who infiltrated the Huntik Foundation to help take down Dante. However, as the two go on more missions, she finds that she can't betray the people who treated her like family and gave her chance after chance. Though she and Sophie have a friendship, no, you gotta cut to me on that. Friendship that constantly flips between them hating each other and them acting like they've been friends for years. So yeah, she doesn't get much in terms of development for season 1, but we should get more from her for season 2, right? right? Okay, so she doesn't get any focus episodes for season 2. Aside from her background episodes in season 1 and one episode in season 2, we don't get any focus for her. She spends 9 episodes as more of a background character in season 2 before she leaves the Huntik team to infiltrate the villainous organization, that being organization with a lowercase o. You'll see why in a bit. And acting more as a spy for the Huntik Foundation. And after this decision, she's barely in the rest of the season, gaining about a third of her screen time from season 1. So, yeah, I feel kind of bad about that because I wanted to get to know her more, and she has quite a nice character design. I'll shut up. But wait a minute, who then takes Zalia's place during her absence? I'm sorry, who's this guy? Okay, so this guy is apparently named Den Fears. Yes, his name is Den, not Dan. And yet, that's not even the most confusing thing about him. So then, what's his story? Well, he's an orphan. That's Zalia's story. He's also got a brother that he's trying to save. Locke's mission with his dad. He's also a young seeker who we learn more about the world through. That's Locke again! Wait, he's got a strong dark side, but still decides to fight for good. Well, okay, that's different. And his connection to the villains in Season 2 is a good idea, with him having a mark that informs him about the villains' plans, and that only comes up about 5 times. Come on, guys! Why not have it act as a tracker of some kind? Maybe it could be more of a plot point than just letting the Huntik team know they're running out of time every couple episodes. Aside from that, though, there's nothing else about this character that I feel should be mentioned. Now, for the villains, there are 2 main groups that the heroes fight during the 2-season run. The first is the Organization. That's with a capital O. See, I told you it'd come back. Between the 2 groups of villains, I love these guys a lot more. But you may be asking yourself, what do they want? Well, seemingly to control the entire world and locate special artifacts for the professor. Who, no joke, is the same guy who voices Eggman and Arthur Hawkins, Mike Pollock. However, we don't see much of him, except for the Season 1 final arc. But in his place, we follow an out-of-control man named Defoe, who has a personal grudge and dangerous rivalry with Dante. And he's killed in the most confusing way in the 11th episode, being in only 8 of them. Seriously, the staging here is so awkward. I had no idea what was going on when I first watched this. So Defoe's dead. Well, that leaves a spot empty. Oh, we also got Greer, who's a rather stubborn-minded military leader. Only to reveal later that he's something of a misunderstood anti-hero. Okay, so we're batting 0-2 for long-lasting bosses. Oh, but there is this creepy scientist called Klaus, who raised Zalia and brought her into the organization. Yeah, it was these guys that Zalia was working for. But he then gets axed off after like 5 episodes when Zalia turns a new leaf and joins the Huntik team completely. Okay, so who else is there? There's this guy called Razumov who has a very cool accent. But he's not even really part of the organization and wishes to overthrow the professor. Okay, so there are very few bosses in the organization, and there's literally no point to them. Quite literally, you could just switch these guys out with random suits, and it'd be just about as overall intimidating. Now, this is a problem I have with a lot of shows, but here, it doesn't matter too much for me. As When they're not fighting the organization, and even sometimes when they are fighting with the organization, they're expanding the world of the show. However, after the heroes defeat the professor in the first season, the organization stays around for season 2 and for several more episodes, which personally got on my nerves as I wanted to see the heroes battle new evil threats every season. I guess the idea was that the organization was going to be the connecting thread throughout the entire series, but if it was how this was going to go, I was not a fan of it because these new guys were just very annoying for me. And the second group of villains is known as the Blood Spirals, which is where Razimov's true loyalties lie. These guys are the major villains for the second season, and their goal is to bring about the end of the world. Seen it! Oh, and they are out to end the Castorville line. Okay, that's interesting. As they're connected to an ancient betrayer of that family. Okay, how is it that they keep giving us new stuff that they're ripping off of other things? However, I didn't pick this up when I watched the whole series for the first time, as it did feel like a new idea with these extra story steps they took. And it's intriguing with their enormous army, and their look is interesting, though I do tug at my collar a bit for some reason when I see them recruit orphan children. But it is a very cool contrast between the two factions. As the organization had plans to control the world and had a more humanized boss, where the Blood Spirals want to destroy the world with a single goal from their corpse of a leader. Now, when talking about the episodes, it's actually really hard for me to try to do that as they're all interconnected, with each episode ending on a continuation note and the next one trying to pick up where it left off. However, I will take a look at 3 episodes in particular. Let's start with talking about Divide and Conquer, which is one of the few episodes I kept coming back to watch even before I was watching the series for this video. It follows the Huntik team as they traverse the Paris catacombs, with the organization right on their tail. And Defoe has called in just about every organization member to go in or guard every known exit, blocking off the team's exit paths. And on top of that, there's a ticking time clock, as the team has a cursed item, the Ring of Arc, in their possession, and they have to get it to the nearest Foundation safe house, and they only have 30 minutes to get there. So, to throw off the organization, they use fake copies and everyone takes one. This episode is full of action, history, and fast-paced moments. I also love how the consistency of the characters shine through in this episode, particularly with Sophie.
I knew it was you.
What makes you so sure?
Simple, you called for Dante to help, then me, then anyone else, but never Zalia.
Also, I love the fact that the two kids give up their rings with little to no resistance. It's also cool for Locke to call on a new friend he found in the previous episode to figure something out. And the big fight near the end is very fun to watch. Oh, and there are a few cameos.
These are fakes. You'd never give them over if they were real.
Oh hi, Yami.
Look, kid, you can't win against this many.
Oh hi, Yogi. Yep, Dan Green cameos as 2 organization suits here, and it's hilariously obvious that it's him. Next, I want to talk about the Beautiful Trap, which is one of the bigger episodes in my opinion. This story sees the team spending a little vacation after a mission in Greece as they try to find the Argo, the lost ship of Jason and the Argonauts. Yeah, here's more of that history and myth stuff I was talking about earlier. However, their boat is damaged along the way thanks to some strange vines, and they find themselves on a mysterious island made up of women, led by someone named Medea. And each member of the team, excluding Zalia of course, goes off in pursuit of their own personal goals. Locke finds a puzzle that was apparently from his dad. Sophie is told that there are books about her family's secrets. Dante is told about magical healing herbs that can help a friend of his. And Chariot is able to teach a new generation about history. And each of them learns the truth in a very fluid way. And Zalia, while she doesn't really do much here, her part in the episode is very cool to watch, as she has to face her inner darkness. Plus, the childish chase between Sophie and Locke always gets me laughing. Lastly, let's talk about the spiral mark, which is part of the final storyline in the show. And the first thing I gotta note is this.
Why are we here, Father? Should we not be fighting those nullifiers?
Yep, Yugi's now a Brit. The battle between the Huntik Foundation and the Blood Spirals finally begins, with Dante focusing on Razumov, Locke and Sophie doing what they can against his legendary titan, Legion, and Den going off to find his brother. And while their battle is very difficult and takes quite a while because the summoning scenes take forever, Locke and Sophie manage to defeat Legion and destroy the out-of-control Titan. And I love the action in this, even if the choreography is clunky. And the betrayer revealing his true plan, infiltrating the Huntik team by impersonating Locke's dad, using Sophie to bond with the Phoenix Titan, and manipulating events to allow Locke to use the Will Blade and plunge it into the spiral mark, activating it. With the Red Comet set to destroy the Castorwill family and the entire Huntik Foundation while releasing the nullifiers all in one fell swoop, and with Sophie having failed to stop the ritual, it's surprisingly Razumov who stands up to stop the comet. And he knows he has the power to stop it. Or so he thinks. Yeah, this kinda shocked me when I watched it for this video, as it seemed to be the last hope. But there's one more way to end it, and Dante knows it. He takes Phoenix and teleports to the comet, using new abilities to destroy it once and for all, sacrificing himself. Now, I did have a feeling that it wouldn't end like this for him, but I gotta give it to the series for having the balls to end the episode like this. So is there anything I don't like about the show? Oh heck no! This is so much fun with a lot of action, and there's nothing I would change. Okay, except for that. No joke, this series ends on such a huge cliffhanger that I kinda hate the series for not continuing. Yes, the world is saved, but what the heck is this image supposed to mean? I legit don't know, and it makes me bring my final thoughts down quite a bit. I still love the series, but can we please just get an answer for that? We need a third season, gosh darn it. And if I were to make a brief critique, it would be for the show to slow down a bit, because half the time the characters just don't shut up and allow a moment to breathe. But overall, I can't stay mad at this show. It is so epic, and I love every minute of it. Thanks for watching, you guys. Be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you want me to take a look at next. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and ring that bell for notifications. Also, check out my Discord server, follow me on Twitter at @PRNerd_official, and check out my TikTok as well. Also, please join me for my next speed paint video. It's gonna be a special video you're not gonna want to miss. And with all that out of the way, I'll see you guys next time. Oh, that's right, I don't have an amulet. Hey Dante, you want to help me out here?
Team, time to get our Titans into gear. Caliban, Soul Wing,